All right.
Okay.
Oh, you are the co-host now. Okay. All right, Ecclesia. Thank you so much for coming on today. Um, I want you to go ahead and introduce yourself and tell everybody who you are, what you're about, what your business is, and tell us a little bit about like things that you're working on as well. And then I'll get into why I have you here today.
Okay. Thank you so much for having me. My name is Ecclesia Savage, but a lot of people just know me by Clee. I am a licensed professional counselor. I'm also a PhD student, and I'm also a mom and a wife. I have a therapy business. I provide consultation to other therapists that are looking to, build their own private practice, and then I have my own. And currently, I have a team of 5 and 2 interns, and so we are just looking to make a difference in people's lives, like helping them become their best selves and work through all of the things that they have going on in their lives.
That's awesome. So I really want to have you on today to kind of kick off 2021. We're talking about mental health. And since this podcast is mostly about small business and entrepreneurship, that's the type of mental health I guess I want to talk about. But I still feel like, in a sense, mental health can sometimes be a bit like of a taboo type of subject still, even though a lot more people are starting to like get into it now, which is great. But
Yeah.
in the workplace, I don't think people talk about that enough. Like, you always know when you're in a toxic work environment, but like, who are you talking about that to, and who should you be talking about it to, and how should you be talking about it? How should you be working through it? So I think it's important to kind of address that aspect of the health portion of being a small business owner. So I gave you a couple questions. So the first question I want to ask you is, when did you start your practice, and what was the driving force behind getting the business started?
Okay, so if you don't mind, I'm gonna go back because you did ask a couple of questions. So you were like, if you work at a toxic work environment, who do you talk to? Number
Right.
one answer: don't talk to your coworkers.
Right.
I think like when you're in a toxic work environment and y'all, continue to talk about the negativity and what's going on, it just brews and like it continues to grow.
Right. Yeah.
It's feeding the toxic work environment. So I just wanted to put that out there, like sometimes you got to put a limit on it. You got to be the person to bring in, some positive energy, because yeah, that's not the move.
Yeah.
So my practice started in 2018. That's when I did like all of the official paperwork and things like that. But I didn't really step out on faith until 2019.
Okay.
I walked away from a good government job, as our peoples would say. They would say good government job. I
Right.
walked away from that thing, honestly, because it was taking a toll on my health.
Right.
I worked night shift. I worked at the Veteran Suicide Hotline, and I supervised. And in addition to it being a difficult work environment, night shift is just not good for your body. It really, really breaks your body down. I was going to work full time, going to school during the day, working at night, and I
Oh my God.
literally was a zombie.
Yeah.
There would be days I would be up for 24 hours, like no exaggeration. I would be up driving to Athens because that PhD program is not online. You have to go in person. So I would get off of work in Atlanta, drive to Athens, be in school all day, still be myself, and then
Right.
drive home to Stockbridge. So
Woo! To
that
Stockbridge
yeah,
from Athens.
yeah, hour and a half one way. So
Mm.
yeah, it was definitely a push to honestly watch out for my health,
Yeah.
and be more in control of my time. That was
Right.
my 2 biggest motivators with starting my business.
Right. That's awesome. I think that mental health is like, it's so important, especially when you're starting your own business, like not to kind of, I guess, burn out or anything like that. I just started reading the book, The 7 Habits of Highly
Highly
Effective People.
effective people by
Uh-huh.
Stephen
Yeah.
Covey.
So I was just at the point where he was talking about, and I think this was a preface, because I doing the audiobook, because I don't really have time to sit down and open a book and read anymore. But like an audiobook I can turn on in my car and I can listen to it in my car. And it's great because my kids are usually in the car, and so they're listening to the audiobook too.
No, that
But
is great,
yeah.
girl.
Yeah, but so I'm at the point where he was talking about how you should treat your employees the same way that you treat your customers, because
Mm-hmm.
that will make for a happier work environment or whatever. And I was like, wow, that really makes a lot of sense. Like, you
Mm-hmm.
can't have like a poo-poo attitude with your employees and expect them to be able to treat the customers correctly, you know, the right way and stuff like that. But so what are some tips you'd give to a small business owner, entrepreneur, to prevent burnout?
For one, I think appreciation goes a long way. And this is just specifically like speaking to like staff, if you have employees or people that work like for you, even if it's just like contractors or part-time work, like appreciation goes a long way. You know, a kind word, a card, you know, simple gestures, even just a peppermint or little gag gifts.
Yeah.
I love it that my sister, she gave everybody at her job Christmas gifts, but they came out of the supply closet where they have snacks and, you know, supplies and pens and stuff. And so she gave it to them out of there, but it was just something to bring cheer.
Yeah.
I think that being an entrepreneur is, people don't realize how much work goes into it until you're actually doing it. And it is, I would say in the beginning, it's way more work than if you're working at somebody else's job. You are creating the policies, you're creating the rules, you're doing the billing, you're doing the banking, you're doing everything. And so I think that, you know, one thing to try to keep in mind is business hours. You cannot be available to everyone, you know, 24/7. Making sure that you fill your cup back up. Like I tell my employees, and I also tell my clients, what is filling your cup up? Like, because right now it sounds like you pouring, and you on empty. Spiritually, physically, emotionally, mentally, like what is filling your cup up? And so making sure that your cup stays full so you're able to pour out that positivity to other people. I think, you know, those are definitely the biggest things. And I would say also just a schedule. So I am a big planner person. Use your planner. If you're a phone planner, if you are, you know, paper planner, like use the planner. You need to map out your time, map out your me time, which is also an appointment that can't be moved like your other appointments. Like it's a doctor's appointment. Like that is very, very important.
Yeah, I just made a series of posts on my Instagram about planners. I love planners. I'm obsessed with them. I buy planners every year and just like work in them. But like now I've noticed like the iPad Pro has like where you can take notes, and I'm like I'm trying to decide if I'm gonna buy that. But because it looks so pretty. I just like writing notes and making it look pretty, and I just have a problem. But yes, I 100% agree with you with the planners. And I like the fact that you said make your appointment like your appointment. You can't move that time. Your me time, that's your time. That is
your time. Like most definitely. I'm actually working on a planner.
Okay.
And so that's been like my baby right now, just kind of, you know, working on the planner, getting the things in it that I want to see, that I love and I like and stuff like that. So, yeah, that's really important. Plan.
Do you get planners from this company called the Happy Planner?
So I did get their planner to honestly see what it looked like. So I was doing my research on the product. Well, as I'm making like my planner, I'm looking at different planners. I like some of their concepts. I like the colors. I like the creativity. However, Passion Planner is my planner.
Okay.
Now, so my planner comes out. Passion Planner is my planner. I need the hourly 30-minute increments, you know, of my time block. And you really got to plan out your day like by the hour.
Yeah. Okay, well, when your planner comes out, I'm gonna buy your planner.
It's gonna be cute. It's gonna be really user-friendly. Like, so
I believe it. So why do you think mental health has been such a taboo topic in the Black community? And we can talk about the Black community a little bit on here. So why do you think it's been such a taboo topic in our community?
Girl, well, first of all, a lot of things are passed down and we really don't even be knowing the reason why. And we have these little anecdotes, you know, what happens in this house stays in this house. You know, you don't go out and tell nobody the business, and that includes a mental health professional. Like,
Right.
and then also, you know, other like myths and stuff like that is, well, you got to be crazy if you're going to see somebody, like something really wrong if you got to go.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, you don't have to, you know, have a severe diagnosis to go get, you know, additional support. And that's what I tell people. It's just additional support.
Right.
Don't have to, you know, be off the rails to come and talk to somebody who is unbiased, non-judgmental, and has your best interest at heart. Also, the history of mental health is not the prettiest. We all know that, you know, slavery definitely had a big impact, but even after that, mental health basically was founded on experimenting on us.
Right.
And, you know, trying different things on us. So it does have, you know, an ugly start. However, you know, things have changed. You can go see a provider that looks like you, you know, and understands our culture and understands who we are. You know, we joked a little bit, some of my colleagues, about how, like, when we were in our master's program, we were trained to sit across in an office from a white person. We weren't trained to sit across in an office with somebody who's multicultural, person of color, Black person. Like, that's not the training, you know, that you got. You got that actually doing it and realizing this textbook stuff, it doesn't work for everyone.
Right.
You have to go, you know, and get additional training and competency, and, you know, really just look at the history. So I think that's where a lot of things come from. You know, most psychologists, you know, were white male psychologists. Right. And it's like, okay, well, you know, who wants to go sit across from, you know, a white male psychologist, someone who doesn't look like them, who they feel like may be oppressing them. So right. I feel like a lot of Black people not going to seek mental health stem from that.
Yeah, I agree 1,000%. And it's crazy, like the things that you'll learn about mental health and just like the healthcare system in general, just by doing like a quick Google search, which I've had plenty of time to do because I haven't been reporting to the office every day. It's crazy. It's crazy to find out how much of like the healthcare system was built off of experimenting on Black people. And it's scary. And I was blessed to have two Black doctors each time I had my kids. But like I have a friend who did not have a Black doctor, and she had a horrible experience. They told her baby, they were suspecting her baby had Down syndrome because apparently, you know, most Black babies don't have a nose bridge when they're developing in the womb. And her baby didn't have a nose bridge. So they did that whole what is it when they stick the needle through the belly button?
They do a test, yeah.
Right. Yeah, they put her at risk. Yeah, and did all to her because, and then I think she said it was like a Black nurse or something like that was like, well, most Black babies don't have a bridge in their nose when they're developing, but that was after the test. It was already done, you know, and I was just like, wow. And she was just telling me how much she regretted that she did not have a Black doctor, but I mean, she didn't really have much control over that at that point. But I mean, a Black therapist, my husband and I, we had a Black therapist when we did marriage counseling, and I loved her. I loved her so much. And in the beginning, he had like this weird mindset about going to therapy. He was like, you only need to go to therapy when you're, you know, when you're losing it. And I was like, no, we need to go to therapy before we get this marriage rolling, because we need to get in the right headspace.
Right.
And so like we were there, and like at first he didn't like it, but by the end, like he was like, he really enjoyed it. She gave us some really great advice. We had really good sessions. So I highly recommend therapy to anybody and everybody, but you know, you can feed a horse to water, but you can't make them drink though.
Right. But I completely agree. So we did premarital counseling too, and ours was a little bit funny, you know, because I'm a therapist.
Right.
So a lot of the stuff that she said, I had already like had this conversation. So, you know, but it was still fun, and I still learned. Like I learned a whole bunch of stuff from her. You know, I stole a couple of techniques from her. Like she was absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
But therapy is not just for crisis situations. Like it's for maintenance. It's for learning, coping, healing. A lot of times we sweep stuff up under the rug and don't even realize that, you know, that's what's impacting us until we go to therapy. Right. And you wonder why you can't get that relationship right, or you wondering why this keeps happening, or you don't got no friends, or, you know, different things that come up in life. And sometimes you need that outside perspective to just help you figure it out and navigate.
Right. And that's the truth, especially that part about the non-bias perspective, because you
Mm-hmm.
can't talk to your parents about everything.
No, because they bias. They bias.
Exactly.
And one thing that I've been running into a lot lately is people don't realize the generations are so different.
Yeah.
My mama's generation was different than her mama's generation. Our generation is different from our kids' generation. Like, they came out the womb with technology readily available. I remember when we still had Bell South Net and dial up and what is
Yeah.
it, South Bell? It was
Yeah.
something.
Yeah. And remember the floppy disk before the flash drives, like
Man, I had that Acrobat reader. Okay.
yes, and we had Britannica, the encyclopedia, on a CD that we used to have to put into the computer to look things up. And like before it, like my mom is a baby boomer, so you know.
But
So
their
she
outlook is just different.
it's way different. It's
It is
way.
different.
And I had an episode with her, and she talked about how her dad, he was always drilling into her head to get a good job, stay at your good job, work at your good job. And like she had the revelation during our episode that she did not want to drill that into my head and my brother's head when we were growing up. So she didn't. And it's great. But
Yeah.
I was proud of her for that.
That is really awesome, girl, because my mama did the same thing to me with you need a job. Like when I had my son when I was in undergrad, and it was like, yeah, you need to get a job with some benefits. You need to work that job. And it was like, mama, no, like I can't put school on hold. This is a different generation. I don't want to be further behind. And
Right.
it was a different generation than when she grew up, and
Right.
she had kids where you could stay at a job for X amount of years and it,
Right.
a degree didn't so much matter. So
Right.
yeah,
It
it's
matters
definitely
now.
differences. Yeah.
It matters. I mean, you've been killing the game though. Like you're just your story of like having your son in undergrad, because undergrad is already tough. And then you had your son and now you're getting your PhD and you have your own practice. Like that's determination.
Girl,
That's
and
determination.
that's why I'm in therapy too. Like I said, self-care. I always tell people, ask your therapist if they have a therapist or if they ever been to therapy, because you want somebody who's taking care of their self, just like
Right.
you are taking care of you.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I just think it's important. I've learned to take time when I need time, just decompress, like sit and watch Netflix all day, read a book, look at the trees, like really just kind of unplug.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that's a good thing too. I don't know if that was really a big thing like for people who are like my mom's generation, like the baby boomer generation. I don't know if just sitting and chilling was a thing for them. Like they don't understand that, because even growing up, she would be like if we're sitting in our room just minding our business, like you need to get up, you need to go clean, you need to do this. There are things that need to be done around this house. And it's just like, I'm
But
just
so that is one of now that clearly is a verbal message, but it's nonverbal. That's what feeds into the superwoman schema. That's what feeds into, I feel like I always got to be productive. I feel like I always got to be doing something, or else I'm not doing something right, or I'm unworthy, or I don't deserve certain things. And it's not true. And it's not that it's anything like bad. It's just generational things that are passed down. Yeah, it was like that back in slavery. You don't never want nobody to see you not doing nothing or not busy. And then as we continue, you're always doing something around the house because you had to take care of everything. So people don't realize the history behind why we do the things that we do. But that most definitely is one of the messages that gets passed down that we don't even consciously realize to our kids. Like, it's okay to breathe and take a break. It doesn't mean you're lazy. It doesn't mean, all of those negative things. No, it means that you are taking a break and it's okay. Ain't nobody gonna die.
Right.
Ain't nobody gonna die.
Right. That's so true. So how do you encourage a small business owner who has employees to prevent creating a toxic work environment, since we talked about that a little bit?
Communication. I think that check-ins are super duper important. Like, even if you don't have anything to talk about, I think you should just check in, like play some team building games. Talk about the values that, you hold, and that, you want to know their values too, and to see if they align. Because honestly, sometimes they don't. So maybe it's where you need to help that person get to their next, place, because this is not really what they want to do. And I think people get so fearful about people quitting or going to do their own thing. And it's like, well, when fear is there, you don't have the same type of dedication and drive if
Right.
somebody's scared. But if somebody is happy and they feel like you have their back, they gonna have yours.
Right.
So, you know, keeping conversation open, always encouraging each other. Like I said, and being involved. I'm not saying you have to, you know, be your employee's therapist. That's not what I'm saying.
Right.
But you can also, you know, just kind of, people get stressed out and then people act like they don't notice or they don't say anything. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I
So,
know.
you know, doing little simple things like giving a little, Amazon has these little individual bags of Epsom salt, you know, like what do you do around the holidays, you know, to help spruce things up, like having different contests and things like that to keep the workplace atmosphere. And then of course with COVID, a lot of people are virtual. So when you have team meetings, you know, make it fun, break up the monotony, you know, have conversations, still make connections, like make time for people. So scheduling a 15 to 20 minute, you know, conversation just to check in with people and see how they're doing and to see what they need from you. So
Yeah.
I think that's really key.
I think that's good. I think that helped me feel like I'm doing good in my so I just got a promotion. I used to be a teacher in the classroom. Now I'm in administration. And like now I'm having to like, thank you. Now I'm having to like balance managing people who were once my peers. And like in the beginning it was a little tough because it was like they didn't understand why I was saying certain things to them or asking them to do certain things because again, we had just been peers and now I'm your superior and you're having to listen to what I have to say. So it was kind of hard. It was some growing pains, especially for me and one of my very favorite people at the at my job. And like we had to have a real sit down conversation, like crying at work. Like
you gotta do it.
Yeah. And so, but now like it's going a little more smooth, but I do something that I make sure I want to do is to check in because in previous experiences with bosses that I've had or supervisors that I've had, I never felt like they checked in on the employees. And like we talked about earlier, when you're in a toxic work environment, don't talk to your coworkers about it. Don't vent laterally, like vent vertically. Like
yeah, they can't do nothing. It's nothing they can do except keep talking about the same thing over and over again.
And both of y'all gonna be mad. And then both of y'all, it's like that TikTok, they're gonna be like, man, I hate this job. Man, when you gonna quit, girl? I'm gonna quit the same day you gonna quit. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's what it turns into. And I think that as a small business owner, when you have employees, it's important not to create that type of environment because you want to have retention and you don't want to have a high turnover rate, obviously. But I also think it's important to recognize that some people might just be doing this job just so they can get to where they need to get.
Exactly. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Like, I think transparency is 150% the best way because you can help them, you know, get to the next level that they're trying to get to, you know, and y'all can still be beneficial to each other. It doesn't have to end sour.
Right.
You know, and that's one of the things that I have learned. Just like when it's not for me, it's not for me, you know. And that's another thing about entrepreneurship and just having a business, you know, deciding how you want to grow. And if you want to grow with employees or you just want to grow as far as like products and, you know, it just being you or you want to have a partnership. I think that's important. And sometimes you just got to try it, see if you like it. And if you don't, then, you know, you figure out your plan to scale back down. Yeah. So honestly, that's where I am now. It's a lot of work managing people, supervising and, you know, looking over people and different things like that. And so I think that my energy would be best, you know, devoted to like new projects and clients for right now. So.
Yeah, and that's totally understandable. My waist bead business is just me. And I mean, I guess in a way, my mom, because she does help because I taught her how to make strands so that she could help me keep my inventory up. But I don't really have to manage her. I literally just like when I go over her house, she's like, oh, I have like 10 new strands because she has no young children at home running around, knocking her beads off the table or kneading her. So she can sit down at the end of the day. And like for her, she says that this has become like therapy for her. Like she enjoys that time to sit down and just kind of decompress and make her strands. And I mean, my mom has made at least 300 strands in like 5 months. Like she makes a lot. So for now, it's just me. I don't really feel like I need other people though at this moment because I like, especially my off season, which is right now anyway. it wouldn't really serve me to have to try and pay somebody. It probably would cost me more to have to try and pay somebody to work with me. But I think that recognizing like what would be best for your business is most important. Definitely.
And talking to other business owners.
Yes.
I think that has definitely been a part of my self-care, a part of taking care of my mental health is making sure I'm not crazy. Like I check myself. It's important to always check yourself. I check with someone else who owns a practice. I check with my business partner. Like we bounce things off of each other. Like it's good to have a sounding board. Even if it's somebody who's not in your same field, still talk to them. They can think of things outside of the box because they're not in it. So I think that that's very, very important.
That's true. Like having your tribe. I have 3 people that I bounce ideas off of when I'm bouncing ideas. It's my brother, my college roommate, and my cousin. And my cousin, he actually was on my podcast. I just didn't make it known that he was my cousin, but he owns he's Pollard's Produce, so he has the beehive. I don't know if you listened to the episode with the guy talking about bees and pollination. That's him. So he has the beehive. He has 9 acres of land. That's his side business, but his main business is that he is a CPA. So like he's for a large company, and I won't say their name. I'll tell you later if you want to know. But he is a CPA for them, and that is what he does. And my brother, he just got out of the military, so he's not really in like business. My brother just is still figuring out himself, like because he just got out of the military. And then my college roommate, she is a producer for a new show in Arizona, so she definitely helps me a lot when I'm having like any issues where I'm like, I need to talk to somebody who can tell me how the podcast sounds, like how it sounds.
Right.
Like I'll ask her, and she always gives great feedback, and she does not, hold back or sugarcoat, which I don't feel like people feel like. Right.
That's
I don't feel like I don't feel like people feel like they have to sugarcoat with me, because most people who know me know I'm not going to take it really personal, especially if I'm asking for your criticism. But like, I don't know. Those are my 3 people. Those are my sounding board. I mean, I do bounce things off my husband from time to time, but you got to know what lane is best for some people. Right.
Different head space over there.
Right. Yes. I know their strengths. Like I know some people's strengths, and sometimes if I want to talk to him about something else, I can talk to him about anything else, and I can talk to him about the podcast, but mainly those are my 3 people who I got to bounce ideas off of, because they're going to come at me with some off the wall stuff.
Exactly. That's what you need. That's exactly what you need.
Yeah, you need that diversity. It's a little diverse group. I never would have thought it would have been like 2 men in that group, because like I would have thought it would have been like my closest friends, but that's who it is. So, I mean, it works though. If it works, it works.
Exactly. What works for you.
Yeah. Yeah. So explain the importance of writing out your vision for yourself, and how does that befit your mental health?
Benefit.
Because I was like, I didn't write befit on here.
It is super duper important to write out your vision, write out your goals. One, because you need to know what you're working towards. You need to have an idea of what you're working towards. I love vision boards. I think do it whatever works for you. If it is a digital one, do it digitally. If it's, words, a word cloud, do it. If it's an actual vision board with pictures that you cut out, do that. But I just definitely think it's important because it speaks to your intentionality for the year. And so I always tell people, being intentional is the greatest gift. Like it's the greatest thing you can do for yourself. And that's in everything that you do. That's with self-care. That's with work. That's with spending time with your kids. It's super important. And so when you lay out your goals and you lay out your vision and you have what you're working towards, then you can figure out how to break it down. So have you heard of SMART goals?
Yes. Oh my God. Hold on. I'm about to read them to you.
Measurable, attainable or achievable, relevant, and time bound or time sensitive. And so that is something that's really, really important. So after you lay out your vision and you lay out your goals, then you need to figure out the plan to get there, which is smaller goals. We have this big grand goal that we're trying to get to, and then we feel like we haven't gotten anywhere because we haven't gotten the big goal. Celebrate the small victories. Break it down into smaller goals, baby steps. like literally baby steps. Baby step that thing. Be proud of yourself because you spent 30 minutes doing something that you wanted to do. Be proud of yourself, you know, because you read one chapter of a book that you're trying to finish. Like, it's baby steps. You don't go from 0 to 100. That's not the way it works. So that's why it's super duper important. And then I forgot the last part of your question.
How does it benefit your mental health?
Okay, so when you have it written out or where you can see it, you know, if you have your vision board, you want to put it somewhere, of course, where you can look at it daily. When you have it somewhere, it literally drops your stress level. When you break stuff down into those smaller goals, you're not worried about how I'm going to get there because it's building. You have already set it. So we're keeping stress low. We're managing our time because we have things in our schedule that equal our SMART goals, okay? So literally it stops you from being so anxious about things and getting things done and worried about this and that. Hopefully you budgeting. That definitely, like, finances is a big part of everyone's stress. Write down a budget, map it out. If you can pay things early, pay them early. Pay them a month in advance if possible. Like, try to get ahead of the game. And I feel like we are so tight when it comes to like money and finances and different things like that. Yes, budget, have some faith, but if you can pay it early, you know it's gonna be due again next month because you still using the water, the lights, and everything else. Just go ahead and pay it.
Absolutely. I agree with that 1,000%.
Definitely benefits you mentally.
Yeah, I think so. I was just talking about my vision board today. I do vision boards every year. I think the first year I was introduced to them was in 2011, and that was when I was at Savannah State, and I went to an event for one of the organizations on campus was having like a vision board event. And like they provided everything you needed, and we all went there and we did the vision board, and I was like, wow, this is a really great way. I had never even heard about this before. I was like, this is a really great way to lay out your goals. And like ever since then, every year I do vision boards every year. And sometimes like I'll do them at the beginning of the year, but like sometimes I might feel like in the middle of the year, I need to do a mini vision board. So like last year I had my main vision board, which was like a big one. But then I had a small vision board for my classroom and my goals for my career. And when I tell you, I put that thing up on my desk at work and I achieved every single goal that was on there. And I was like, see, I knew I needed to do this.
Yes. It's a subconscious way of just ingraining that, like putting it in your mind, your spirit, your energy. Like, that's the way you do it. You don't have to stare at it for hours. Just put it somewhere where you can glance at it every day and you internalize success. Like, that's why I love it. I do a vision board every year too. I make everybody in my household do it too. So we have our individual vision boards and then we have our family goals. And I put those on the kitchen counter in like a frame. It's a clear see-through frame. I'm gonna go get it real quick. Okay, so it was hard to describe because it's like a clear frame.
Oh, okay.
And you got the little paper in the little thing. Yeah. And so we have our Savage goals for 2020 and it's on the kitchen counter so the whole family can see it every day, including my son. And so those are our like family goals.
That's a good idea. I never thought of doing a little one for like the family goals, which I totally should do. Girl.
Definitely.
I thought I put my phone on airplane mode, but it was an iPhone calling an iPhone on my. Okay.
It happens.
Yes. So, but yeah, I like the.
Is it an emergency?
It is not an emergency. I can guarantee you, it's not an emergency. Let me text her real quick. Tell her this is my first, so this is gonna be my first like interview that's gonna be on YouTube. So this is gonna be very interesting.
All good.
And then she texts me talking about, is Sam declining my calls? Because Sam declines my friends' calls all the time. If he has like my iPad and they're calling me, he's like, he always declines because he's playing his game.
You know, you can disconnect that feature.
Oh, really? Girl,
yeah.
I don't be doing nothing with that iPad because I brought that iPad for myself, not for them. And they just took over.
That's how it is.
I guess.
that's how it is, buddy.
Yeah, and they just took over. So, okay, back to these vision boards. So, yep, I like the idea of the family visions that you keep in your kitchen. That's a good idea. That's a good idea. But I definitely think it's important. And like on one of my episodes, my old episodes, I was like, I don't have a business plan written out for my business. And like, it was kind of the truth, but it was kind of a lie because I have a vision board and I just didn't think of it like that.
Yeah.
But looking at it now,
yeah, like paper, it got to be typed out. No.
That doesn't work for me though. That's not
work for me either.
Yeah. Like to sit down and take the time to write it out, I'm going to lose the paper. And I'm just going to put that out there. I'm going to lose the paper. If I type it on my computer, I'm never going to look at it because it's just going to be like in a file somewhere. Like the vision board, I know I'm going to look at because I put it up. Like my vision board is in my room, but now I'm going to make this family one. And I'm going to put that one somewhere where the family can see. But yeah, well, I guess we would make the family one because I need to talk to my family about this.
Exactly, y'all. It's a good conversation starter, and you'll be surprised what kids say. Like, I think Dylan came up with like 2 of the ones that was on there, or he contributed to, and he was like, "Yeah, that's a good idea." So that one, I just I listed them or whatever versus a picture. But I think it would be great if, however you do it, and just having a conversation like, what should our family goals be this year? Like, they love vacation and traveling, but I don't know about that with COVID, so we're gonna have to see. But I think it's great to be inclusive and start these things at a young age with our children, so that way they'll do it when they grow up.
Right. That is so true. That's why you're a therapist. That makes so much sense. Okay, so tell me what inspired you to create your coloring book. So I don't think we talked about it on air, but we talked about your coloring book. And I want to know how you got inspired to do that because I love coloring books.
So lots of thinking. I'm a thinker. I wish sometimes I could just turn it off for a little bit so I can just, but I'm definitely a thinker. So honestly, just thinking about ways to do residual income, ways to gain residual income. And, with residual income, I think it's important to realize, no, it's not going to make you rich, honey, because that split with Amazon and in production, it ain't going to make you rich, but it's residual. It'll be a little bit coming in, over time and stuff like that. I think what really inspired me, so I plan to launch basically a movement this coming April. It'll start off with like a retreat kickoff, but the coloring book was like the first part to Black Girls Play.
Okay.
And Black Girls Play is a movement for us to tap back into our inner child. Like, I feel like we work. We take care of everybody. We do everything, and we don't do nothing for ourselves. Like, we need to have fun. We need to decompress. We need to de-stress. We need to relax. We need to laugh more. And we need to be around each other and build each other up more. Like, when I tell you, that has just been my, like, I don't know. I birthed that baby and I was like, I got it in front of me. I was like, this is what our platform is for 2021. It's Black Girls Play.
Right.
We have fun. We do our hair. We support each other. We show compassion. We have so many different looks, so many different talents. And I just think that is great. And I think that we really got to start honing in on those things. And so when I was thinking about it, and I was thinking about things that contribute to Black girls playing, Black girls, engaging in self-care, I was like, a coloring book. I love to color. I miss coloring. Okay. I have to make sure I let my son know this is my coloring book and these are your coloring books. So that's really what inspired it. And then I wanted to see more coloring books with us. Like, I wanted to see coloring books with Black girls. And I really didn't find a lot of them until I, started researching, and there are some really good ones on Amazon. But I wanted to see some different things. So I really was just like, well, let's try it and see.
Yeah.
I can't draw worth a doggone. Okay.
Okay.
So I had to be creative. And I think that this was just a way for me, like I said, to start with Black Girls Play. So that's why I named it Black Girls Color.
Okay.
So we can go ahead and just start that movement.
Yeah. I love that idea of getting back to play. Do you listen to the podcast Code Switch on NPR?
No, but I heard it's good.
Okay, so I don't listen. I still haven't gotten into it, and I said this a few episodes ago. I still haven't started listening to it, but right now I'm listening to an audiobook. So I kind of just, anyway. So I did listen to like one episode, and they were talking about how, we get caught up in like the Black people don't do this or brown people don't do that, and like they were talking about hiking and stuff like that. So my college roommate, who I was telling you about, who I bounce ideas off of, I last year, she lives in Arizona, so I went out to Arizona last year, and like I was like, you know what, let's go to the Grand Canyon or whatever. Now she lives in Phoenix, and the Grand Canyon is like a 4-hour drive from Phoenix, or 5 or something like that. It was a long drive. So we just got in the car, me, her, and her dog, and we drove up to Phoenix, to the Grand Canyon. And it was in the winter, so it was cold. There was ice and snow, but we had such a good time. So
I'm out. I catch y'all when y'all get back. I hate being cold.
Oh my God, it was colder than I anticipated. And when we drove through Flagstaff to get there, which is like a big ski city. And there was just like ice on the mountains, and it was so crazy to me.
It was beautiful though.
It was. And I was just like, we came from Phoenix, where all I saw was cactuses and big rocks coming out of the ground. Flagstaff, where I'm seeing huge mountains and ski resorts and snow, to the Grand Canyon, where it's just a lot of ice up here and like these big rocks in the ground. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, and I think that was an eye-opening experience for me, because a lot of times I see like Black women that we love to go to the beach, like, or go to the islands or something like that. But like, we don't really do stuff like camping and hiking and things like that. But I really enjoyed it. So like now, and we were trying to go this year, but we couldn't go this year because of COVID. So next year we have planned to go to the Redwood Forest, and we're going to drive from Phoenix to the Redwood Forest. And then on the way back, we're going to stop in San Francisco and do some sightseeing. But like, we're going to go on some hikes, and my friend does not zip line, but I do. So
I love zip lining.
Me too.
I love zip lining.
Me too. My husband loves zip lining too. And like, it's just like, there's so many things out here. And I had this conversation with my cousin, who I also bounce ideas off of. My cousin is also a pilot, and he is also a licensed scuba diver. And he is also he also is licensed to hunt. Like, he does a lot of things that.
I love that.
Yeah. And so, but the thing is, when he was doing all of these things, and even the things that he does now, people always tell him, Black people don't do that. That's not Black people's stuff. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Oh, that's because we wasn't allowed to do stuff like that back in the day. No, that's why. But
right.
No, we do, and I'm so glad he's doing so many different things and being certified in so many different things, because people have that in their mind that you have to be one thing.
Right.
And no, you don't.
You don't.
Yeah. You don't have to do one thing for the rest of your whole life. If you want to switch it up, switch it up. Like,
right.
Yeah.
Right. That's why it's like, for me, starting this podcast was a big thing for me, because I really want to open up the eyes of other people our age and other people that look like us, to see that there are a lot of people out here that look like us that are doing different things that we were always told that we don't do. Yeah. Or that we shouldn't do, because that's not in our lane. But no, it is in our lane. Everything is in our lane. Like, let's find something that you've never done before and try it out for the first time and see if you like it.
Try it at least one time.
Right, at least one.
Yeah, and keep moving. So a lot of those things, like I said, we don't realize the history behind it. So, when we did have the ability, or it was sanctioned by the government that we could do things because we had equal rights, then it became a class thing. Well, can we afford to go scuba diving? Can we afford to take vacations? And so then when we started moving up in our tax brackets and we started making more money and having equal pay and things like that, opportunities continue to open and unfold, just like with education. And so Black people didn't do it.
Right.
Because they couldn't afford it.
Right.
Now we have a different opportunity. Do everything.
Right.
Do everything. Anything you can do it.
I agree with that 1,000%. Open your mind up to all of the possibilities that are out there, and just go do it. Just try it out and see. Anything except drugs. Don't do that. But
yeah,
don't do that.
Dare, okay?
Right there.
Don't do drugs.
Right. But other than that, I definitely think people should get into it. So I recommend you go listen to Code Switch. I'll have to go listen to Code Switch too. But that's all I have for you, Clee. I want you to plug your website just in case people are looking for a therapist. If you're taking clients and stuff.
Okay. Yes, I am taking clients. It is stay STAY anchored ANCHORED.org. StayAnchored.org.
Yep. And then it's the same thing on Instagram, right? They can follow you on Instagram.
Yep. Follow me on Instagram, stay.anchored. And then Facebook is Stay Anchored Counseling. And then you can also follow me at the Anchored One on Twitter.
Okay, cool. I had to follow you on Twitter. I didn't know you had a Twitter.
Girl, sometimes I don't be remembering I have a Twitter, but I'm going to do better. I'm going to do better.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for coming on today. I really appreciate your time and dealing with me and my antics today.
Girl, you are welcome. It's always good to see you. I am definitely ready for COVID stuff to end, so we can go back to Jonesboro, girl. We gotta go back to them roots, okay? We gotta go back and get those teenage girls. We gotta get them together.
We do.